So welcome to another episode of Paul's Asian Adventure. In this episode, I wanted to talk about taking your girl to the West, your fiance, girlfriend, wife to the West. What can happen and what mostly happens. And this is based on my experience living in the West. I was married to a Filipina, and I had a lot of Filam couples that were friends of ours, and I knew a lot of Filipinas in the West. So I just want to talk about that subject matter and how it can affect you. Hey guys, before continuing, I'd request or ask you if you could share, comment, subscribe, and like. Especially the sharing really helps my channel grow. So if you would do that for me, that would be great. Thank you, and we'll continue on the video now. Thanks. Bye-bye. Many have spoken about this subject matter, but few have lived it. I have, and I'll talk about it on this video. So today I will talk about why you should not bring your fiance, wife to the West. And if you do, how she might change and how everything might go from sunshine and roses to dark clouds and thunder. However, let me say this from the start. There are no absolutes, and there are always exceptions to the rule. Towards the end of the video, I will talk a bit about statistics when it comes to age gap relationship. I will also give some very important tips from lessons learned in my relationships and from what I have seen in the West for Philam relationships, and I've seen many. And about how to maximize your chances of not getting divorced should you decide against all advice to take her to the West. Well, first let's start by shortly defining what it's like here in the Philippines. Here in the Philippines, you are the high-valued commodity, not the 20-plus-year-old hot girl. One simple reason: very few expats, very many 20-plus hot girls. Of course, I could talk about hypergamy, social construct, and so on here in the Philippines. But as this is not what I want to focus on, just accept the fact that this is true, that you are the highly valued commodity here. Remember this: the average age of Filipino is 26. So this is a very youthful country, a country where hypergamy is not a choice, but a must for survival for some. The innate base instinct of women here becomes obvious and leads to acceptance of age gap relationships. I've spoken about this in some of my videos, so no need to talk about it again. Rather, I will focus on what can happen when you take your girl to the West. One thing I will tell you right now is do not meet a woman online. I repeat, do not meet a woman online, then come here and visit a few weeks at a time, fall in love, then apply for fiancé visa. This would be the absolute worst way to approach bringing a Filipina to the West. No matter how much you think you know this girl, believe me when I say this, you do not know her unless you have lived with her for at least a year. Preferably 2. Even after 2 years, there will still be things that you do not know about her. I think we all know that. So I will just put this out there. If you're planning on doing this, then accept some major heartache, financial headaches, divorce, unfaithfulness, and so on. Please do yourself a favor and do not do this. I have done this, and I've also seen several others that have done this. It has been one disaster after the other. Are there ones who are lucky? Yes, there are. But anecdotally, from what I've seen, most end in disaster. Now, should you be here already or plan on coming and living here, then meeting that special one, good for you. Maybe your plan is to go back to the West eventually, or maybe you're tired of living here. How can you ensure or minimize the chance of her leaving you once you move back to your home country? Well, let's start by talking about what happens when you move her to the West. At the end of the video, I will talk about how you can minimize the chances of divorce once you have moved to the West. And please remember this. This is based on my experience. So when you move to the West, you will quickly go back to being the average Joe, invisible to most women, and especially invisible to younger women in your country, in the West. Your Filipino will notice this. One of the things that creates attraction is competition anxiety. She will notice very quickly that you are not the hot commodity in the West anymore. I mean, while you're in the West. She has nothing to fear but fear itself, as Winston Churchill said. Seriously, she will not fear losing you. She does not have to be her best anymore. She knows she is the best that you can do in your home country and has absolutely nothing to fear. She will also quickly start noticing some of the degrading behavior of women in your country. She will notice the way they talk to their partners, notice the way they dress, notice how they behave, and her brain will start churning. Then there are also the new friends she will make, both at work and in her free time, that will continuously tell her that she can do so much better than you. And let's be honest here, they are right. She probably can. It will not take long till she gets all kind of unwanted attention from guys half your age with double the resources. She will know again that she can do so much better. Over time, she will understand. In the Philippines, she was just an average girl, maybe a 5 or a 6. But out here in the West, she's an 8 or 9 out of 10 due to her skin complexion and her body type. Remember, in the US, 70 to 80% of women are either fat or obese, or like I like to call them, hippos and whales. So now she has all these social pressures, and her female instinct of hypergamy is telling her to monkey branch to something better, maybe much better, and at the same time get a reward financially for leaving you by the courts. Really, what do you think are the chances of her staying? Remember this. In the West they say, you do what's right for you, girl, while for the woman, and while for the man they say, you do what's right. Meaning, what is right for society, a man must do, while a woman needs to do what's right for herself. This is the environment you are taking your girl to, and you don't think she will be influenced by it? Seriously? So how do you evaluate and choose a girl that will minimize the chance of divorce in the West? How do you find a girl that is wholesome and of high morals, thereby minimizing her chances of changing? Here are some of my guidelines. And remember guys, this is just my opinion based on my experience. 1. Choose a girl that is less than 15 years in age difference. 2. Spend at least a year in the Philippines living with her. 3. Is she materialistic once living together? You need to test her. Give her a chance to become who she really is. Give her access to Shopee and Lazada. Does she start ordering stuff like crazy? Give her 2,000 pesos to go clothes shopping. Does she go to the mall or go to a used clothes shop? Is she always looking out for your best interest when shopping? 4. Empathy. A feminine woman is typically empathetic. How does she react if you get sick? Pretend your back is hurting. What does she do? Does she go up and beyond the norm, or just make you comfortable and watch her phone? 5. What is her family background? Is there a strong, virtuous male father in her family? Does she have a strong family, or are the mother and father separated? A woman from a strong family background will be less likely to get divorced. What is her body language when she is alone with you compared to when she was friends and family? Now, I could go more in depth on these points I just mentioned now. and other points as well, but that would take way too long. I just want you, the person who is in this position, to start thinking and asking the hard questions. So here comes the most important part of this video. If I have not dissuaded you from taking your girl to the West, then here are some pointers that could help you keep her. 1. Always, and I mean always, sign a prenup and postnup. The prenup should be done well in advance of any wedding. Talk to a good lawyer about how to set this up. When I signed mine, I was told my fiancée had to have her own lawyer, which I paid for. Today, many also videotape the event. Anyway, I'm not a lawyer, so talk to a good lawyer. There are 2 main reasons to sign a prenup. One is to save your ass in case of divorce, obviously. The other is to not make it rewarding to get a divorce in the first place, hence minimizing the chance of a divorce. 2. Talk about what is acceptable behavior and non-acceptable behavior before she gets there. I would suggest the following. 1. No female friends that are divorced. 2. No, and I mean absolutely no girls' night out. Control the frame of the relationship. This can be hard, so read the books in my reading list. 4. Do not let her become materialistic. 5. Spend time doing fun stuff together. Hiking, going to parks, traveling, going to water parks, whatever rocks your socks. But do things that create memories for you all together, thereby increasing your bond between you two. What is it now? 6. Focus on the emotions and the relationship. Be aware of her moods, her subtle changes in her character. If things start changing, it's a sign that she is changing, and that could be trouble ahead. So point 3, if you can afford for her not to work, then go that route. So that way you have more time together, and the influence of toxic feminism is likely not to take hold in her. 4. If she wants to hang out with other Filipinas, again, never, and I mean never, let her hang with ones that have gone through the divorce machine. They will put all kind of nasty thoughts in her head. Make sure they are wholesome Filipinas that have been married for at least 5 years. And married to the guy that brought them over, not a different guy. 5. You know what they say, you become who your 5 closest friends are. So if her close friends are all divorced, I can almost guarantee you she will be the 6th. Remember, talk about all these points before taking her to the West. You could even write down all the points you agree on so that you can point to it if she starts to waver. So in the end, I say this: always evaluate the girl with critical eyes. For both of you, this will be a life-altering decision. For her, it can only lead to positivity, while for you, it can lead to a total, and I mean total, devastation, both emotionally and financially. So think carefully through it and plan it well. Think about the following. There are so many wonderful film relationships in the West that have lasted for decades. Some have an age gap of 20 to 30 years or more. I personally know an American who has been with his Filipina for 14 years, and she is 35 years younger, and that relationship is going strong to this day today. I also knew Filipinas that were only 5 years younger than their husband that were being unfaithful and eventually got divorced. So statistics aside, all is possible, but it involves an unrushed and careful choice. You really have to understand and know what you are getting into. So take your time and choose wisely, my friend. So I came across some statistics online, and I put a link in the description below. So I found these statistics online, and I couldn't find any statistic specifically for a film couple, but it's a general statistic in the US. A 5-year age gap statistically means you're 18% more likely to divorce versus same age. And the rate rises to 39% more for a 10-year age gap and 95% more for a 20-year age gap. So meaning if there's more than a 20-year age gap, there's a 95% more probability of you getting divorced than a same age marriage. Now there's a law called BRIFFAULT'S law, and this is something that has been in the red pill community, manosphere, if you want to call it that, or whatever you want to call it. The female, not the male, determines all conditions of the animal family, where the female can derive no benefit from association with the male. No such association shall take place. And you basically replace association with relationship, and basically it's for humans as well. Now there are 3 extra points to this, and point 1 is, even though a woman has accrued past benefits from her relationship with a man, this is no guarantee for her continuing the relationship with him. Point 2, if a woman promises a man to continue her relationship with him in the future in exchange for a benefit received from him today, her promise becomes null and void as soon as the benefit is rendered. So meaning, once you give her that benefit, you know, that promise is null and void. Anyway, point 3. A man promise of future benefits has limited ability to secure a continuing relationship with a woman, and his promise carries weight with her only to the extent that the woman's wait for the benefit is short, and to the extent that she trusts him to keep his promise. So I think this BRIFFAULT'S law is pretty self-explanatory, so I won't go explaining this and going into more details, but I thought it's an interesting wrap up in context with taking a girl to the West. So with that, I say thank you for watching, and I'll see you on the next one. And remember something, guys, if you guys would help me out on my YouTube channel by sharing this, maybe you know someone who this would help, share it on Facebook or any other social media, comment, like, and that will help my YouTube channel grow. So thank you so much for doing that. Thanks, and bye-bye.